Hello and welcome to episode 144 of Retro Encounter, RPG Fans Weekly Podcast. I am Mike Sollosi and I am your host again today. We are at the very beginning of Lunar Month at RPG Fan, or I guess we're at part 204 of Lunar Month, where we are going to podcast 4 episodes in a row about Lunar 1 and Lunar 2, because, guys, there wasn't any Lunar games made after Lunar 2. I mean, that's just a fact of life.
Oh, hey, whoa. Magic School's alright.
Okay, sure. I accept that.
I have no idea.
But the facts of life are all about you, starting with Robert Fenner.
Hey, glad to be here. How about Tempest's hair? I'm very wary of men with braids, but he makes it work.
You know, like, I thought Tempest and Alex looked so similar at first that I
got different hair.
Yeah.
I was like, did one of them just let it grow out? Was kind of my thought. You know, no, Fresca's looks less similar to Luna than Tempest does to Alex, but I don't know. It seems like they, just as Fresca suggests, their kids will totally grow up playing together. But also joining Robert and I, we have Leona McCallum.
Hi there. I have nothing amusing to say.
Well, Leona, this is your second podcast appearance on Retro Encounter, which means that the first appearance didn't scare you away permanently, which I consider a win.
I had a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed it.
Well, good, and hopefully we'll have just as much fun in this second episode, where each of us finished Lunar, the Silver Star, in some form or another. Or at least I can't. I don't want to speak. I don't want to put words in your mouth necessarily. I finished Lunar the hours before going on to a plane to E3 in mid-June. Luna, were you able to finish the game in time for the podcast?
I like that you called me Luna, but
Leona. I'm sorry. They're pretty close together. It's just
I'll do the song.
It's just a difference of vowels.
This is a LARPing podcast now.
Oh no. If it's a LARPing podcast, can I recreate Kyle's performance of the song in front of the Blue Dragon Shrine?
Only if you cross-dress.
All right, we can make it happen. I'll have to. My sister was a costumes mistress for plays in high school. We can figure it out.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I finished Lunar yesterday.
All right. And Rob,
it's like a 2-week gap between playthroughs.
Oh yeah.
I finished Silver Star Harmony about 2 p.m. today. That was long. So long.
Well, fortunately,
I was stressing out over it. I was like, I'm the last dungeon. It's still going on.
The last dungeon does go on for a bit. The one that surprised me that it just went on and on the most is, I don't know, maybe either Might's Tower or the Talon Mines. But
you two were fortunate enough not to play the version where the cave at the shrine at Lytton takes 2 hours, because every time you fall down a hole, those enemies respawn.
Oh no! That dungeon was maybe one of the easiest in the game in the PS1
PS1
version.
Not this time around.
Oh
yeah,
yikes.
it's straightforward.
All right, well, it seems like all 3 of us did finish in time, so this is the opposite of the Digital Devil Saga podcast from some months ago, where none of us finished it and we're kind of embarrassed. But
I could have talked about that forever.
Oh yeah, man, that was just a difficult month, and then I had a long RPG on top of it. It was a problem. But anyway, so all of us are on board to talk about the entirety of Lunar the Silver Star. Where we cut off was, I think we were right about to talk about Lytton and that cave and the Blue Dragon.
Right.
So at Lytton, when we visit, the music is all out of whack. It sounds like it's just all out of tune, and everyone in the town is cheerful but slightly going insane, and grateful to have some chosen ones relieve them of this agony. So I guess Lytton and the cave itself. Rob, you mentioned it was just really frustrating for you. How is what changes are made to the PSP version?
First of all, I think that music could be way more annoying. It sounds just kind of goofy.
Yes.
And they're talking about how in agony they are, and I was kind of annoyed by that, because I was like, this in the song is actually kind of jaunty and kind of good. So I wasn't really getting...
It didn't even change that much when you fix it.
Yeah, it really doesn't. The cave in this version, oh my goodness. See, I never got this far in the PS1 version. Were there pitfalls in that version?
There are, I think. I remember there's holes, but I think only in like the last room or maybe last two rooms.
Okay.
And I don't think the enemies respawn. The PS1
No.
version in general is pretty good about having no respawns at all unless you leave the dungeon.
It's just a straight up cave with random dungeons on Sega CD. And this one, there's a pitfall at every intersection, which you have to fall down, and then you have to go through another screen, and then fall through another hole, and it's just respawning random encounters that the alleys are too narrow to avoid them, and that took me a very, very long time, and I was just so tired by the end of it. Like, I had to listen to podcasts to get through it. It was just...
Okay, well, that might have made the following dungeon easier then, maybe. But
Oh, yeah.
I listened to podcasts for basically every part of this game, other than major dialogue scenes and maybe some boss battles. Because unless I really am entranced by a game's music, I kind of always want to be listening to podcasts during it. And again, Lunar one does have good music, I think, and we can talk about that more specifically later. But they repeat tracks a lot. I think they use basically the same battle and cave tracks for most areas of the game.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel dirty at all switching to a podcast for dungeon runs, which did get a little longer in the second half, as we alluded to earlier. Leona, what did you think of Lighten and that cave and that music?
I found it a bit. It was straightforward. I mean, at the end of the dungeon, basically just push a rock, and that's the end. And then you leave the dungeon. It was a bit weird. It was like, why did I do this?
Yeah, and the puzzle was barely a puzzle at the end, and there's no boss fight. There wasn't a boss fight in the Blue Dragon layer either, which I was surprised by.
That's true.
And
at least something happened in the Blue Dragon layer. Like, nothing really happens in the Lighten Cave.
Yeah, if anything, the ending of the Blue Dragon layer is kind of charming and surprising, because the Blue Dragon is a sweetheart, and then then they're ripped from your presence like that.
No, I'll never see them again.
Well, technically you do, but they don't, not in a speaking role.
This was all new to me. The Blue Dragon is not in the Sega CD version. He is
really?
Dead when you arrive.
Oh no!
You never get to see him because of time constraints. So I was very, very charmed by just how I don't know, how kind of like personable and laid back he was. He's all right.
He's like, oh, humans! I haven't seen humans in ages. Oh, please tell me about your human things.
He's all right.
Yeah, he's a Blue Dragon's pretty cool, but unfortunately, in the minute or so you go to a side cave to pick up the helm, he gets captured by Galleon or Zenobia, which is tragic. But I sort of thought the Blue Dragon Cave was annoying because it's fairly dense with enemies. And there's a slightly mindless teleporting pools function that's just time consuming, not that visually interesting.
But not the worst teleporting puzzle.
No, there are
clear.
Fair, but it's still not my favorite. But I also thought it was kind of amusing that Lighten is a town full of pacifists, so they sell pretty good armor, but no weapons in their town.
Yeah, not allowed.
Yeah, so you got to either go back to that sort of Hicksville with the very rude men, or forward a little bit to the edge of the prairie.
Yep.
But let's see what else happens around Lighten. Oh, I guess next is Tamer and Might's Tower, where our best friend Leica rejoins us.
Totally not plot related. Leica.
Oh yeah, totally, completely. Let's see, what would we call him?
Wilderness man.
A wilderness man, a non-acting observer of the events of the game.
Bear Grylls.
Mm-hmm. Totally not another character, just with a beard and a hat. But anyway, I thought Might's Tower was a frustrating maze, but at least I could just go through it without thinking, because Leica won every battle for me.
Yeah, his attacks, he attacks like 4 times in a row with like instant death, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it took a while, but it wasn't that long. But then you meet Might at the top, and he is just the greatest curmudgeon.
Yeah.
What a delightful misanthrope.
Is that the smelly guy?
Yes.
Okay, I know where we are.
I was curious to see if he was going to be smelly in Exceed's localization, and indeed he is. So I guess maybe that's something original to his character, and not
I
just
think it's probably
Vic Ireland messing around.
it's probably written in the Japanese that he has poor personal hygiene.
Yeah.
And he shows up a little later too, because he's the only person in the world capable of building an airship.
He's kind of the cause of a lot of problems, but he's kind of a neutral player at the same time, huh?
The cause of a lot of problems. How do you mean?
Am I going crazy, or did he build the grindery?
No, the other guy built the grindery.
Oh,
there's two.
I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, no, there's two geniuses. What's
Is it
the other
Tabin?
guy's? Tabin, yes,
Tabin?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Tabin and Might. They appeared to have been friends or collaborators at one point, but then Might did not want to build a giant war machine, and Tabin did, and that's what the grindery is.
That's right. For some reason, I combined them in my head. I don't know why.
It's totally fair, but also this gets to something that, let's stop just going through the plot like a boring linear trio for a second.
All right.
What do we think happened during the time of the four heroes? So Dine, Galleon, Lemia, and Mel. Why were they heroes? Was there a war? Was there some kind of threat?
It's really confusing.
I can answer this question, and it's not a good answer.
Okay, but is it because they elaborated unnecessarily in the PSP version?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and I kind of wish that they just hadn't.
all right.
The very first scene of the PSP, the four heroes facing off against some like big final boss with unknown. It's why he's there. Who knows? Who cares? He's kidnapped Althena. They need to get him back. They need to get her back. They kill him.
2.
Pardon me?
It starts like Lufia 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Except, Lufia 2 is it starts like Lufia 1, but because in Lufia 1 you see the end of
that's
you play
right.
through the end
yeah.
of Lufia 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's one of these things that's better left speculated on. So, instead of just like seeing the random final boss, I'd like to hear both of your takes.
Regarding the speculative nature of it, I think that's something that I was curious about because the current state of the world is extremely peaceful, other than what's going on in the frontier. All of the towns are idyllic, except for Meridia, and Vane, which are fairly bustling. But I was curious as what the four heroes fought because it didn't seem to be any aftermath or any talk of what of what happened during that conflict, other than some hero worship of those four heroes. So I figured maybe there was a war with the Dark Tribe, or is that what they're called? No, the Vile Tribe. Sorry, Vile Tribe. I think I'm getting them confused with the Tribe of Darkness from Ys. But so there might have been some war with the Vile Tribe or some unknown other party on some unknown continent. Or maybe there was alien invaders from the Blue Star, for all I know.
Yeah, is Althena an alien? Is that what the subtext is?
I don't think so.
Actually, she might be.
Well, maybe they go into that.
We're going to get into that in Lunar 2, aren't we?
Yes,
really?
And they go into that a little bit in those 4 stone tablets at the last part of the game, at the last dungeon.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting a lot of it from.
I'm more curious, is the world of Lunar supposed to be our world, or an alternate version of our world, where the Earth became so destroyed that a powerful person named Althena moved everyone to the moon?
It kind of seems like that, doesn't it?
Because
I thought it was like a moon that she had like terraformed.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
When everything goes away, it looks very moon-like.
Yeah.
It's the Silver Star.
And when you look at the Blue Star, or what they call the Blue Star, the planet they revolve around, it kind of looks like Earth.
Yeah, I'd say we're probably like.
But it's in like nuclear
probably
winter.
on a moon. And it's called Lunar, right? That's what the world is called, Lunar?
Yeah, their world's called Lunar because I think they're the moon of the Blue Star. And maybe the Blue Star is supposed to be Earth. But they do go into Lunar 2 a little bit. But I'm not sure if Althena is supposed to be an alien or if she is a human with great power or what exactly.
So why did... I know I'm jumping way ahead, but like...
No, that's cool.
I didn't understand why Althena was suddenly like so evil towards the end. I didn't understand why she was like all dressed in black and skimpy clothing and suddenly like, I am going to destroy this planet.
Drama.
Yeah.
Drama or some vague hypnosis or brainwashing from Galleon is my guess.
And
I
because
suppose.
evil has to be sexy, because
Yeah.
pureness can't be dressed like Althena. Oh,
Mhm.
boy. When I was a kid, I always had just like this kind of idea in my head that like the four heroes assembled to like help Althena like make a great pilgrimage, like Yuna or Setsuna,
Yeah.
and they just helped her achieve her goal, and then ascend into the heavens to watch over the world. I guess that's probably not the case, but it was my cute little idea growing up.
That's that is a cute little idea, but I think maybe because like the four heroes were sort of revered for their prowess, like how
Mm.
Dine and Mel fought for 4 days or something, or whatever the story was
Yeah.
before they became friends. Made me think that there was some kind of conflict going on. Might even been a war between humans and beastmen, which is a theme explored in a lunar game that. Oh, I'm sorry, that game doesn't exist. Never mind.
Yeah.
Different timeline.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I guess it's at least underexplained and maybe worth exploring. Maybe they shouldn't have done what they did in Silver Star Harmony, but they're
What they do in Silver Star Harmony is
oh no.
it's especially exasperating because not only is it like filling in something that is just sort of meant to be, uh, you know, it doesn't need as much detail as they get. Well, I mean, the detail that they give it is pretty skimpy, but it's very trite and not interesting. And but what makes it the most frustrating is I think they've written this prologue scene for people who have played Lunar before, because like it basically absolves Galleon of any guilt, because like they beat this final boss and then like everybody's walking away and then like they think he's dead but he's not, and then like he transfers his consciousness into Galleon. And
Oh,
it's like, oh, come on.
I don't
That's
like
so
that at
boring.
all.
He's just possessed by a big monster. Who cares?
No, that makes no sense.
No,
No,
it's terrible.
I
I
mean,
mean, I hate Galleon, but that makes me hate him even more.
But like, you should hate him because he's like a selfish, awful,
Yeah.
power-hungry thing, not because he's, like a plot twist at the end of another high-profile game that came out last year. But
well,
anyway.
okay, I also hate Galleon. Not as a character. I think he's amusing as a very melodramatic villain. But
Skeletor.
yeah, but yeah, kind of.
Shitty
He's
kid.
yeah, he's barely a step beyond Skeletor or Mumra or something. But I sort of. I do not like that development that he's possessed by some other
No.
malevolence. I like him as this, selfish, almost needy person who both like craves having the goddess's light again and craves over control over a world that he thinks is full of people beneath him. Like those as his motivators, I'm fine with. But him being possessed by some vague shadow being, I don't like that nearly as much.
Is Galleon incel?
Well,
I hope I didn't make that joke already last week.
oh, I don't remember, but I don't think he is, because that would mean it was done involuntarily, and I'm pretty sure he could get it from Royce or Zenobia if he wanted it.
Well, Zenobia
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
Pretty studly.
yeah. So like, I don't think he's an incel, even though he behaves like one often.
What I find amusing about Galleon is that apparently Althena, only 15 years ago, was walking among mortals, granting wishes willy-nilly. And then she disappears, and after 15 years, everyone's kind of like, whatever, it's cool. And then but Galleon is the only person in the world who's like, no, she must come back.
I'm not sure everyone is aware that she's gone. I think they might think that she's just at the tower not granting wishes anymore because she decided to stop to or something, because she's still being openly worshipped.
There's a
And-
line during the Lemia possession quest in Vane where somebody in prison says that like they asked Lemia overheard them talking about a rumor that Althena was no longer in the goddess's tower, and then he got thrown into the dungeon. So
it's
it sounds like
a
maybe
secret.
yeah, they think that she's a recluse, but she's actually gone.
Yeah, so I guess the way my brain filled it in, there was some conflict over the goddess and her powers, or 15 years ago. The four heroes resolved it, and then what really happened was that the goddess vanished and then reincarnated into Luna. But well, I mean, whatever. We're spoiling everything already. No one should care by now.
Spoilers.
But I think everyone else thought that we can't have these wars anymore. The goddess doesn't want it, so she is going to lock herself in the tower and just make sure everything is peaceful. That's at least what I sort of believed. And and I mean, this might be going to Lunar 2 territory a little bit, but basically the idea is that she'll always be reincarnated into somewhere. So if Luna dies of natural causes or old age or whatever, then someone else would be the reincarnation of Athena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Shin Megami Tensei style.
Yeah, sure. Or it could be, or it could be Castlevania style, where it's only once every 100 years.
Fair.
Yeah, why not?
But so it's some arrangement like that, and I think that secretly Galleon was very needy and felt empty, knowing that Althena was gone. Because as being someone that quote unquote basked in her light for his entire life, having there be no goddess, he thought was just absolutely irresponsible. So he wanted to restore her. And also because he's a control freak and a villain, he wanted to use her power to reshape the world in his image or something.
But there's another sort of subtext to that where I think Dine and Galleon were best friends, but also rivals for Althena, and Althena chose Dine.
Possibly. Also, I think he might have been competitive with Dine for the role of Dragonmaster.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
So it could have been that, and it could have been over her affection. If they were both in love with Althena, that would be. I mean, that's an interesting game. Give us give us a Lunar Zero about 15 years ago. Maybe add a fifth hero that died in obscurity or something. I'd play that.
Retcon the whole mind control thing.
Yeah, for real.
Yes, get rid of that.
That never happened.
Yeah, please fix that, Kenan, because that's gross. I mean, I think that there's juice to that relationship between Dine and Galleon, and maybe Dine and Mel, and maybe maybe Lemia has a role in that team dynamic as well. But I think that there is something there. It's totally cheapened by that possession thing in Silver Star Harmony, and I've not played.
I think it's okay to not take that as canon because
sure.
It's kind of funny to talk about canon now because, really, honestly, who cares?
Yeah, no, who cares about it? And the guy that was the architect of Lunar 1 and 2 and Grandia 1 or 2, didn't he die young?
Yeah, I think like age 40, maybe a little bit younger than that in 2011, very sadly.
That is too bad.
So, yeah. But I don't think he was involved in this one anyway. I think he kind of moved on. I think this was before he died, but still, I don't think he was involved.
Yeah, in Silver Star Harmony, right, sure.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think that the thinking about what the four heroes were and maybe what conflict they were involved in is interesting and fun, especially because I think that, Galleon is kind of a Saturday morning cartoon villain, but
for sure.
his motivations are at least, at least present. Like, you can't... He's not completely flat.
Well, he's quite larger than life as well.
Oh yeah.
And he's.
I enjoy him when he comes on screen. Yeah. I do look forward to his scenes, even though privately I do make fun of them.
Oh no! Please make fun of them openly.
I messaged you guys in Slack, and it was like, just despair. And just like every time that he's on screen, I feel like they purposely make him as cheesy and as hammy as possible. He's like a cheese and ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Perfect combination.
He's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And he does look like a giant, fantasy elf with vaguely alien features. Kind of like Magus from Chrono Trigger, but with shoulder pads that go above his head.
Yeah. Final boss mode, he's like a giant body but a tiny head. I find
that's right.
Very fun as well.
Well, okay. We'll talk about that boss battle a little later. Rolling it back a little bit. Because speaking of giant bodies, tiny heads, I want to talk about the boss battle against Nash that happens a little later. But before then, they visit the frontier. You meet Tempest and Fresca, who are two warriors of the frontier, which are a vaguely plains related tribe, so they could be something Central Asian, or like the Comanches in North America and the Oklahoma territories, like something of that nature. I wouldn't call it cultural appropriation, just cultural similarity.
Maybe like Mongolian. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
there's some sort of nomadic tribe.
Yeah, I mean, Mongolians were the big successful ones that made an empire, but there was nomadic tribes that were skilled horsemen, sort of all over parts of the Central Asian steppe, even like in modern Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan as well. But the Mongols are the ones everyone knows for for clear reasons.
Kind of like the grasslands in Suikoden 3. Kind
Yeah.
of that sort of nomadic tribe feel.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Plains tribes in Fire Emblem 6 and 7 as well.
Yeah, like Len, yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, Tempest and Fresca's tribe is like that. Once it's clear that once you fight, Alex fights Tempest in the easiest boss battle in the game. Tempest decides that Alex is a great warrior, and they become friends very quickly, and get access to where the Black Dragon's lair is. And that dungeon I found a little annoying, in part because you lose your healer and the better of your two mages for the entire thing because of a mysterious song that grants plague
to only females or something. It seemed that way.
Maybe I don't know if it was
she fell ill, and then like Mia and Jess they fell ill, but I imagine it did affect males. It just happened to be so the three females got it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember checking every bed in the tribe to see if it was all women, but that is what happens. Those three are incapacitated, so the three men in your party plus Tempest go and brave the tower. It's I don't know. It's kind of an annoying dungeon just because it's sort of narrow corridors and it's not as easy to avoid enemies. But and again, you have no healer. But I mean, at least what happens at the top is pretty memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's my pet peeve about RPGs with like not random encounters is when they put them in like very narrow corridors so you couldn't avoid them even if you wanted to. It's like that is not the point.
That happens a little bit in the two recent remakes of Dragon Quest 7 and 8, which are games that I like very much, but it's like, these games originally had random battles, so these narrow corridors with live enemies are kind of, breaking their own rules a little bit.
Well, the PSP version, that's the entire game. Tiny corridors, monsters.
I feel so sorry for you every time you mention it.
It's just I keep going on about it, which is annoying. But
I have almost bought Silver Star Harmony like at least 3 times. Like I see it on Amazon or on a store. It's like, oh man, I really like Lunar 1, but maybe it's good in the PSP. But it never happened, and now it definitely won't happen.
Yeah,
imagine how nice it would be to have Silver Star Harmony on Silver Star. Freudian slip. Silver Star Story Complete on PSP. Just put that on the marketplace, please.
Yeah, just digital versions of these two games. You don't even have to clean them up very much. I don't think the load times are that bad for a PS1 game for either.
Yeah, they're fine.
Although I am maximum 20 minutes into Lunar 2 right now, so maybe it gets worse later. But So yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of narrow corridors in the Black Dragon Tower, but you get to the top, and we have the Black Dragon already enslaved by Galleon, and the Dark Songstress with him that has been making people, maybe only women, around Pau fall ill is indeed Luna.
Gasp.
She's not in her. I don't think she's in her dominatrix outfit yet.
No.
Yeah. Okay, that happens later. Right.
Very, very end.
Okay. But. So that's a big surprise, and then there's a fight against the Black Dragon that I don't think I had much trouble with.
No, I used the White Dragon ability, and that was really good against them.
White Dragon Protect is so crucial for the last couple fights in the game.
Seriously.
If I hadn't used it strategically, I probably would have. I would have had much more problems. But sticking to where we are now. After that encounter, Luna does not come to her senses she does come to her senses, but Galleon spirits her away at the end. Am I remembering that right? Because this was about a week and a half ago for me.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Right. So, but you go back to Pau. Everyone's okay. Everyone. But we know that Luna is has goddess powers, and she's in the frontier somewhere, and you got to go to the frontier. So you go back to Might, who's been working on a airship for an undisclosed amount of time. It's ready, and then it happens. Nash reveals what we had been suspecting for a while, that he is a mole from Galleon.
Yeah.
And it's a little weird. He sounds a little desperate and a little crazy when he does this, because he's sort of framing it in that, oh yeah, I'm a bad guy, but also you guys are crazy you have to fight Galleon and you'll die, and I don't want that either. So I'm gonna blow up your engine. Peace out.
It just seems like he's. I don't know. This has never really affected me very much in a way that like other high-profile RPG portrayals do.
Sure.
Because like Nash is such a goofball.
Are we gonna list our top 10 anime betrayals?
Maybe we should.
Okay, all right. Well, obviously we have what happened in Tales of Destiny 1, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Everybody's favorite, Leon with his pink cape.
Oh, yeah. And then he has a skull mask where he turns into Judas. No symbolism here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, that's enough about that's a different PSP RPG, PS1 RPG for another day. But so
Nash
yeah,
is just—it's so hard to take him serious anyway, and it's just like, what are you doing? It's like you just kind of want to slap him and be like, "Come on, buddy, just give it a rest."
Yeah, no, he's a goofy asshole for most of the game, and you find him where he's literally under a raccoon trap or something, and this betrayal recontextualizes that, like, oh, he was probably looking for singers, just like the other members of just like Galleon's other servants, and maybe he was supposed to investigate Luna, and that was his job. So maybe if you just leave him under that trap, none of this happens at all.
I never thought of that. Probably when you first meet Royce, he's like talking to Royce and mentioning singers and stuff.
Yeah, I think he's reporting Luna back to Royce.
Yeah, so that might have been his job after all.
I think they probably would have eventually found Luna, but still, it's amusing to think if you just left him under that trap, then the entire game would be you going to Maribia and then going back home.
Sell that diamond and then just retire.
Yep, the world's shortest RPG, 3.5 hours, 5 out of 5 stars. But no, Nash betrays the team, blows up the engine, and it sounds like he wants you to just give up. Is what he wants the outcome to be, because he definitely cares about Mia, but naturally your group doesn't, because you have, just because Alex and Kyle are who they are, I guess. And you end up getting an engine from the eccentric inventor guy at that other. What's the town of inventors called? Shoot.
Illic.
Illic, that's it. Yeah, they go to Illic to get another engine, and because the Illic engine isn't as good as Might's engine, you crash land outside of town in the frontier, and that is Talon, a boring old cave, and probably my least favorite dungeon in the game, just because it's a boring old cave.
It does have it is full of the Vile tribe, but why are all the Vile tribe like goblin people except for like?
I don't know.
What's the deal with those three? They're like beautiful women, and everyone else is evil goblin people.
Man, if I knew, I would tell you. And I assume that's another thing that's unexplained in the PSP version, Rob?
Yeah, completely. Just not touched upon at all. I kind of like Talon because, like, that's like where you find the entire population of Berg just kidnapped, right? And I kind of like that.
I don't remember that. Did I miss that?
Did that happen? I'm like...
am I? You know what? I think I might be mixing up my versions.
Maybe that's in the Sega CD or PSP.
Because I remember, like, who cares about this awful dungeon? And I didn't have fun going through that, but
I don't remember.
Very confused.
I don't remember that either, but it's possible I didn't explore every part of that dungeon.
Okay, never mind. It is just a big dungeon. And
Okay.
I was just thinking with rose-colored lenses about how you have to set Alex's parents free and everybody else from Berg because they've been taken to the Talon mines in the Sega CD version.
Oh man, that's something they should have kept in this version. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like you go back to Berg and it's completely empty in that game, and that's pretty neat.
No, you don't do that here. After Alex becomes the dragonmaster and you visit Berg briefly, everyone's there and happy, and they go tell you to go save Luna. But
well, I mean, I guess that's okay too. But
I mean, I guess, but I like your version now. That's
Yeah, I kind of like your version better.
It's neat, yeah.
okay. So I guess the
Like
PS1 version is not 100% the superior version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's at least interesting.
It's fun. Yeah.
I have another question about the Vile Tribe. The Vile Tribe, like the original inhabitants of Lunar, and
It
then what,
seems
like
it seems
Althena
like yeah.
came and like banished them.
Oh, that could be it.
That's kind of what I thought it was. Like she was like an invader, and they were kind of like banished to the outskirts.
Because
That's why they're angry, because they've been pushed to the frontier by Althena's power. So, but it's a really underdeveloped idea, and one that could have been very, maybe things aren't so cut and dried, and maybe the goddess isn't so great.
see,
You know?
he's speculating on the outsides of Lunar's plot is much more fun than playing Silver Star Harmony and having it ruined for you. Well, but ruined is a strong word, and I don't like I don't like the idea of the events of something ruining the events of a separate thing, which is
Oh, absolutely not. I
Yeah.
still have like such fond memories of this series, and I have hated this playthrough, but that doesn't change how I feel about Lunar 1.
see that's the right attitude. We don't need to get into how some people on the internet will take that attitude, but that's interesting. If the goblin-esque people of the frontier are the original inhabitants of Lunar, and when Althena took people from the Blue Star to Lunar, they forced them out.
Yeah, like a displacement.
Yeah, that's cool. I kind of like that, but it does not explain why there's so few women and why the women are beautiful S&M characters. but yeah, so after they go through the Talon, they discover a large city and the Grindery, which is a giant war machine at the edge of the city, and sort of those are two dungeons back to back after the Talon mines.
Oh boy.
And at the end of the tower of that city, you meet Tabin, and who is the architect of all this magic fueled war machines, I should say. And eventually, he seeks Nash on you, who wants to repent after being slapped in the face by Mia, and but is being controlled by Tabin, and you have to fight him as the Magic Masher. He's basically in a golden mecha, I guess.
They call it a chicken suit, and I wonder if that's because he is a big chicken.
I think so.
He doesn't want to fight anymore.
Sure, no, I dig the visual metaphor, but it was kind of fun laying the smackdown on him.
Yeah, I thought he looked funny. I enjoyed the fight just because it looked funny.
He needed a punch, so.
I like that he actually had like a visible slap print on his portrait. That was good.
Right, so I guess he comes back and all is forgiven, right? Where we still feel the same about Nash, that lovable scamp.
I mean, it's just because he just seems so like ineffectual, and it's so easy to take him at the normally you wouldn't trust these guys as far as you can throw them, but it's like, oh, Nash, it's just kind of sad, isn't it? So just come on.
I had Nash on my top of my list last episode, like favorite characters out of like Mia, Nash, Kyle, and Jess. So I had Nash top, and he's probably not that anymore. By the end of the game, it was definitely like the Kyle and Jess show.
Yeah, Kyle
Yeah,
and
most
Jessica
definitely.
are just great the whole game, and if anything, Kyle gets more and more likable because he's showing his, he's showing a vulnerable side and also a competent side, where he's maybe more clever than he seems and more sensitive than he seems. Which, by the end of the game, I liked Jessica and Kyle the most. Thought Nia was just fine, but maybe a little boring, and Nash is just kind of a punk.
The fun thing about the interplay between Kyle and Jessica, I mean, there's so many fun things about it. Like, they have the best lines and the best back and forth. But, once you have the dragon wings, if you start, just teleporting back to different towns to see what people have to say, because pretty much every townsperson gets a new line of dialogue after every major event.
It's very true.
Like, you can go see Brett, the cheating gambler in Saith, and he'll challenge the party to to bet on something, and like Kyle is all for it, and Jessica's like, no, don't you dare, like I know that you just can't resist when you start gambling, and he's like, Jessica, I learned it from you.
And the thing, none of those three characters are the most lovable gambler in the Lunar series.
Yeah, for real. That's coming soon.
Like
Oh no, you will know very, very soon, Leona. Trust us on this one.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, Kyle and Jessica are great. I think I mentioned this in the previous episode. It's refreshing. To have a couple in an RPG that is already a couple when the game begins, and
Very rare.
And you basically enter in their relationship when they've already had a separation and are bickering from the very beginning, but obviously still like each other from the beginning, which is, again, it makes everything more fun. It seems like a smart way of telling that love story.
Definitely. I've never, in some ways, Lunar is very typical RPG, and then it's instances like that where it's I've not seen that in any RPG really. It's very atypical in some ways.
The ex-partner is something that you don't often see in Japanese role-playing games.
Yeah, because
if there is an ex-partner, it's usually like a deceased wife,
Yeah, they really don't like that, especially if it's a major female character with an ex-partner, because it's maybe this is me projecting or me making a bad assumption, but maybe Japanese writers anticipate that fans don't prefer the idea of women as pure.
Yeah, like a tainted women.
Yeah, exactly. So if a woman has an ex-partner, then maybe then she isn't pure, and that's a gross idea. But maybe it's, and I'm not saying that the writers necessarily feel that way, but maybe they anticipate some fans may. I don't know.
We see that with the idol industry, right?
Yes.
That's why so many Japanese idols have those clauses that say they're not allowed to have boyfriends, at least not publicly, so they can maintain this fictional purity for their fans. And I mean, what we see more and more of with today's JRPGs is this whole sort of quote unquote waifu best girl culture, right? Where you want the possibilities to be open for players to project what they want onto these characters. So having Jessica already engaged in a relationship with a character who is not the protagonist, I can see that maybe not going over so well with certain subsets of audiences.
Yeah, definitely. Every RPG these days, the protagonist dates everyone, really.
Yeah, that's what makes it so sterile and sad and unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of this series, but there was a manga that had demonstrations of fans burning copies of it because one of the main female characters was revealed to have an ex-boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sure that was so many series.
Probably. I remember it was about goddesses or shrine maidens or something, but I don't remember what it was called. And it was probably 5 or 6 years ago at least.
Yeah, you kind of see with Luna. The sort of Madonna whore complex appear, because when
most
Luna
definitely good eye.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah, when she turns evil, then she's allowed to wear the skimpy clothing. She's not so pure anymore. You can sort of objectify her a bit more. She's the whore now. But as soon as she turns back into good Luna, she's suddenly wrapped in a sheet, totally covered up and protected and cradled in Alex's arms. I found that really interesting and telling.
Yeah, that's... Whoa.
Sorry.
She's back to being little sister / partner.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, yeah, the childhood friend who's like a sister is not my favorite anime trope.
Yeah.
But...
Well, at least it's not Sword Art Online. At least it's not his real sister.
Yeah. And I probably mentioned this in the first episode. I think it's sort of cute how your 6 main characters form obvious couples, because I think the 3 relationships are cute and wholesome in a way, but there's certain imagery and certain angles that they take that are maybe less cool than others. And again, maybe because they're the quote unquote least pure, I think Kyle and Jessica are by far the most fun of the group.
They're definitely the most interesting to watch.
Right? But anyway, I'm maybe I'm being a little bit unfair to Mia. I called her vanilla or boring a little bit before, but she has a moment. After the grindery launches, after the the boss fight with Nash, there's a sort of an epic confrontation between the Grindery and the city of Vane, where the city of Vane basically floats in front of the Goddess Tower and defends against some cannon fire from the Grindery, forcing it to a halt. And then you go into the Grindery, and it's the second to last dungeon of the game. But like Mia sort of has to take charge and sack up a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely thought that when I was like watching this scene. I was like, "Oh, this is Mia's moment."
Yeah,
it's not quite triumphant because it's like it doesn't totally work. Then Vane kind of falls from the sky, but I was like, it was a good moment for her, and it was very needed to have her like have a big impactful moment in the plot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, her two biggest moments of the entire plot are back to back, where she basically brings Nash to his senses and then does the Vane thing. It's those were 1 and 2 for me as best parts of the game.
Yeah,
I love that Vane falls from the sky because I think like it kind of I wouldn't have expected it to, and yet it kind of has to, because it's this elite magic academy that thinks that it's invincible, and it proves that it absolutely is not. It's one of its one of its leaders is the architect of its demise, and seeing that they were willing to change their landscape in such a way. I mean, it's not like Final Fantasy VI World of Ruin changing of landscape, but it's still making a very indelible impression in that continent. Yeah, I thought that was quite a moment.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean they establish on how great Vane is and how much of an institution it is, sort of throughout the game. And seeing it fall is like in a last-ditch effort to protect the Goddess Tower is a tremendous moment of symbolism. I mean, it's kind of an epic confrontation between the Grindery and the city. And then
it was also like the only way. Like you need to show the Grindery's power, right? Like if Vane didn't fall, you would never see what the Grindery could really do.
And a similar moment that happened in the first half of the game, I think, is when Mel turns to stone. You have one of the great symbols of the world's strength and peace, sort of ripped away in a way that that I think raises the plot stakes in a way that is effective and in a physical and puts the world in a physical state. Like you can go and visit the Mel turned into stone, and you can see the fallen city of Vane but only the last part of the game. They do a good job of having the world state keep up with the what's going on in the game. Like we were mentioning before, you can go back to almost any town, and there'll be updates. There's sort of 3 hidden accessories in the game that are among the 3 most powerful, and one of them you get by visiting the town of Lan after you become dragonmaster and have the elder make you an honorary citizen. Because when Alex becomes dragonmaster, everyone around the world will treat him differently and say different things. That's cool to have the world state so current, even though this is an RPG that's a little bit dungeon town sometimes.
I never did that, so that's interesting to me.
Yeah, there's 3 rare accessories. One of them halves your MP use. One of them gives you a +1 attack.
Oh, I got that one.
Okay, one of them gives you +1 attack, and one of them has every attack affect all enemies.
Huh.
That last one is good. You can't stack it with multiple attacks, but it's pretty good because Nash's final weapon has like a 10% chance to instant kill. So if you give him that final bow with that weapon that affects everybody, it's pretty effective in regular battles. But whatever. It's cool how Lunar is a much more persistent world than a lot of RPG worlds, and things like Mel turning to stone and Vane falling are really dramatic examples of it. But I guess we're basically at the end of the game. Your party goes up the Grindery. It's too late. They go to the Goddess Tower anyway. Then you speak to Leica, who finally reveals he's dying. It took him freaking long enough.
No, really?
I don't think it would have affected anything negatively if he had just told people from the beginning. Oh yeah, I'm dying, but keep it on the download, kids. Like,
I mean, maybe to avoid like the paparazzi.
He let them build a big, beautiful grave to him. Come on.
Yeah. A little bit rude, dying.
A little bit.
It helps us a lot. I shouldn't badmouth him. He's a very nice man.
He does help a lot, and he does want this group of kids to succeed, and he's not being stubborn and like stubbornly holding on to the reins of power to his generation. He's not like an old NBA player insisting that basketball was better in 1994 or something. But I mean, it's the most obvious twist I've ever seen. I didn't totally get the why Althena had to leave until it was explained to me later. But I mean, obviously he was dying. Come on,
absolutely.
But anyway, he gives Alex a shiny new sword that has a healing ring built into it, basically, which is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then it's time to go up the Goddess Tower or Althena Fortress or whatever it's called.
Did we miss the whole dragon head thing?
Oh, we didn't.
That was pretty creepy.
That's in the grindery. You go through the grindery and realize that it's powered by the 4 captured dragons. You see the entirety of Quark's head fixed there, but also you see, I think, feet or tails of the other 4 dragons as well.
Yeah.
The other 3 dragons as well, which is why I said that's not the last we saw of the blue dragon.
But it's not the way I wanted to see them.
Yeah, no, but it is a little creepy and a little scary because I mean those were 4 nice dragons that were perfectly happy to help you on your journey.
Yeah, are they dead? Are they actually dead now?
Unclear.
Yeah, because you never see them again.
They're at least depleted, and it appears that Null is the new white dragon.
That's right. I think they are done, so they can make room for Null to be the next white dragon in that instance.
And I mean, presumably more dragons rise to take their place. I know there's an inference you can make early on in Lunar 2 that might be true, because there is another flying cat character in that game. But you
do meet dragons in Lunar 2.
You do, right? And but
I don't think it's hinted that they're the same dragons.
Right, and it is implied. Yeah. I think Lunar 2 takes place 1,000 years after Lunar 1, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So there's time for new dragons to take their place. I thought
it was like a direct sequel. Apparently not.
Well, I mean, there are Lunar 1 characters in Lunar 2. But,
yeah, strangely enough, there are some returning characters.
Yes. One of which I think is easier to explain than the others. Do you know what I'm referring to, Rob? You think?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. But
I'm trying to think here.
Oh, you'll. I mean, we'll be playing it before too long. If you choose to be on the Lunar 2 episodes, I'll definitely be on them. But I don't think the rest of the panel is 100% set yet. But there are more dragons in Lunar 2, and there's at least a couple of Lunar 1 characters in Lunar 2. But that is something for next week. But before we talk about next week, I mean, we do have a final dungeon and a final battle. Phasia gives a noble sacrifice at one point, and then you finally get to give Royce and Zenobia their just desserts.
Well, Royce was particularly annoying.
Yeah, that sleep curse is annoying as hell.
So bad. I hate it. It made going up the tower, just that small area, all the battles were so dangerous all of a sudden.
Yeah, and you'll go through and it's like, okay, please just be like Jessica and Kyle or something. But no, it's Alex and Mia, so you don't have your screen clearing stuff.
So unfortunate, yeah. I was hoping that Royce would turn out all right in the end, but I guess Phasia kind of, I don't know, I guess you were saying kind of, Leona, the Madonna horror complex, and I guess Phasia, although she is dressed sexually as well, she is much more. She's still got this sort of radiance about her.
Yeah.
So I guess
yeah. Of the three, she was the obvious candidate to impersonate a priestess.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so obvious for her to be the face turn sacrifice for the heroes, and I kind of wish it was the other way around.
It would have been interesting if Royce was the good person, and then Phasia was or Phasia, I can't remember. Was
not just because I like Royce's lipstick.
Truest evil one.
Yeah, it was the obvious and maybe most boring choice, but it's whatever is the one they made. I didn't think the Royce or Zenobia boss battles were particularly interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool that Zenobia was obviously in love with Galleon, but sort of didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, it was a sort of like vassal in love with the master sort
Yeah,
of
it's like oh, that's a cute angle, sure. Oh, poor
Like,
Zenobia.
imagine if Galleon just got over Luna and was like, Zenobia, come on, let's go. It was like, story
Let's not
over.
destroy the world today.
It's like,
Be all right.
how about
Yeah.
instead of destroying the world, let's try to rebuild the frontier.
Yeah,
Let's try to make this a
something-
nice place instead of make the entire world like the frontier.
How about I play you my weird fantasy guitar?
Okay, the song hasn't been written yet, but it's called Wonderwall.
Oh
Hopefully-
no!
nice garden in the top of this dungeon. Pixies in it. Little pixies.
Yeah.
If only he had just been a happy guitar player planting trees like Galleon Appleseed.
We built this frontier on rock and roll.
He has a move called rock and roll.
He does.
He does. It's true. And another move that's straight fire.
It's all coming together.
And another move that's cold as ice. Man, maybe he is, but he wasn't willing to sacrifice.
No.
Well, at the top of the tower, this is a little embarrassing. I had to fight Galleon twice, not because I lost to him, but because after you beat him once, you're supposed to use the Ocarina item in Alex's inventory before meeting Luna.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, Luna will kill you, and you'll go back and you'll get a game over.
I had been spoiled beforehand to play the ocarina, so
You know, that's an okay spoiler, because the alternative is maybe having to do it twice like I did. So
yeah.
You
So I knew it
know,
was coming, but I probably would have lost. I'd probably, if I was playing for real, like not knowing to do that. It was very
design
subtle.
added that. I don't think you had to do that originally.
Oh, really?
I think you just had to go up and talk to her, but they wanted to make the game like harder in kind of adventure game mode, and just sort of added this, like, if you don't play it, you get instant death.
I was wondering.
I mean, this isn't as bad as the two brothers trapped in books and mist or anything, but
No.
it's still a a pothole, not plot hole, a pothole that I did not enjoy tripping over.
Yeah, it's like the end of Karateka, you know? You accidentally approach the princess in your karate stance, and she just kills you. When I was researching this, I found out an interesting tidbit about the Sega CD version that I didn't realize before. So you've got a harp in that game rather than an ocarina. Alex plays the harp, and due to some coding sloppiness, you can throw that harp away. So,
oh no!
Yeah, so you can make that game completely unwinnable.
You can't
which is
even
amazing.
you can't even remove Alex's ocarina from his inventory.
Yeah, so I like that so much. Just like, save the world and then just that's it. Just because you wanted some more inventory space.
I mean, I do not like that, but I mean,
Very funny.
I appreciate the humor and the, and maybe even the Schadenfreude of it a little bit, but it would have soured me on the game forever had it happened to me.
Yeah. I did not do that as a kid because I knew that harp was important because I'm RPG savvy. But I guess that's a thing.
Sure.
I feel like if I was an actual protagonist, I feel like I would do something stupid like throw away the key item at the very crucial moment.
It's like, what the hell do I have this in my inventory when I really could have another? I could really use another Silverlight right now.
Yeah, or this
I've got to save the world. I've got this stupid ocarina.
Yeah, and then you end up having to spend another extra 10 hours looking through the world just trying. Where did I throw it? Is it here? Is it behind the fridge?
It's always
Oh yeah,
fine,
the fridge in the Forest of Illusions. How did I forget? Okay, well, if we're discussing the refrigeration technology in Lunar 1, we're probably near the end of the episode, but there was one last bit I wanted to discuss. There's a cute little epilogue in Meridia.
Yeah.
Meribia. Whoops, wrong consonant
Yeah.
there. Wrong consonant. I am not ready for countdown. But the I think it's nice being able to see a little bit of closure with all four of our couples, if you count Tempest and Fresca, before going to rolling the credits.
Yeah.
And my favorite bit of it, again, unsurprisingly, is about Kyle and Jessica, is that Mel was prepared to accept Kyle from the beginning, and he knew about Jessica and his adventures. She had never fooled him. That's kind of great.
Well written. It is really well written. That
Yeah.
Kyle, Mel, that's all very good.
Well, like there's that great sign in Maribia. It's like alerting you that Nanza is closed due to bandits, and it's especially closed from rebellious daughters. So he knows what's up.
Yeah, he knew what was up from the beginning. At one point, he was probably furious, but then sometime before the events of the game, he had accepted Jessica for who she was and accepted Kyle for who he was, and was just waiting for them to tell him, which is sweet. I enjoyed that.
When you fight Zenobia, you have that whole like persona moment.
Oh yeah, oh god.
Where you have to face your shadow self, basically. And Jess kind of admits that like she knows her father knows, and they just don't talk about it. It's sort of like an unspoken thing between them.
Oh right, yeah. Oh, it's been a while since I saw that, but no, you're right, and it's also amusing. I thought how Nash really had to confront his own weakness in his persona moment.
Yeah, I liked the persona moment. That was very good. It was like ahead of its time.
It's like I guess we can call that a persona moment, or maybe we should call. Should we call what happens in Persona a lunar moment?
I guess so, technically.
Because this isn't like a Final Fantasy IV moment where so many games have people revive from a down state from the power of friendship and allies. But I guess those are Persona moments. But yeah, I liked those scenes in the epilogue, just getting a tiny bit of closure with each character, and even Lemia hits Nash pretty cold.
I might never trust you, but I'll try.
Yeah, like in Vayne, she's like, I'm never gonna trust you again, and then in Maribia, she's like, okay, I'm gonna try because I know you love Mia, which is fair on her part.
Yeah, probably hurting considering how much she trusted Galleon and how he betrayed her. I mean, that was one of the four heroes, And
yeah, poor Lemia. I
mean,
one of the four heroes, and she's basically infirmed for the entire game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she might never get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least Mia's confident in herself now, and Nash will do anything she says, absolutely.
Or fear the slap.
And it's can we talk briefly about a character in Lunar 2, Leona or Rob, or should we hold that off for another week?
Depends on what you want to talk about.
I mean, I won't be able to add anything to it.
All right. Well, there's a character in Lunar 2 who is in the Ausa family, so she's clearly a descendant of Mia. But she
party member.
Yeah, she has a personality much more like Nash's. So it's. I'm pretty sure.
It's kind of implied, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is. So
I hadn't thought of that.
So I think Nash married into the Ausa family, one way or the other, but presumably through Mia. And
I hope so.
But had enough shame.
Lemia really had a change of heart.
But he had enough shame to take his wife's name at least. Is that, or at least that's how I view it. Because your mage character in Lunar 2 really is the Nash plus Mia. Like,
she is very funny.
Yeah, I really like the side characters in Lunar 2. I really can't wait to meet them again, and for Leona to meet for them for the first time, because they're a very excellent bunch in my opinion. But I think we're about done talking about Lunar 1. Do you mind if we close up shop today, guys?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Now, as we mentioned mere seconds ago, next week we will be starting Lunar 2. We will be playing Lunar 2 over 2 episodes of Retro Encounter. I'm barely started, so I really need to get on that soon. But I think I know Lunar 1 is considerably better than Lunar 2, because I played Lunar 2 only once. But with Lunar 1, I played it once and then played the beginning of it a bunch more times without really following through until now. So I don't remember Lunar 2 as clearly as I do 1, but I remember it being a bigger, more interesting game mechanically, and in particular loving the ending and epilogue of Lunar 2. So I'm excited to start playing it again. And
I think what's cool about Lunar 2, and we briefly talked about the potential of it here when we were talking about Althena being a possible oppressor of the Vile tribe.
Right.
Lunar 2 really gets into I think Lunar 1 is a utopia under threat. And Lunar 2 is when explores what happens when the Church of Althena is unchecked.
Yes, that's very fair. Lunar 2 is consistent with the world and mythology of Lunar 1, but the conflict comes from a different place, and the resolution of the conflict sort of continues what some things that were set in Lunar 1.
Four heroes are a lot more complicated in Lunar 2, and I like that a lot. But
Yes,
I like the core plot of Lunar 1 more.
Again, I remember the plot of Lunar 1 more clearly, but I remember the main characters in Lunar 2 pretty well, and remember specific parts of Lunar 2, and remember thinking I think I like Lunar 2 more overall. But I'm weird. Sometimes I get I like seeing plot loops close cleanly, which is and the epilogue of Lunar 2 is amazing for that, and I really like the maybe all of the main characters except for Hero and Lucia.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, like Hero and Lucia are about as boring as Alex and Luna, but the other four of Lunar 2 are great, and I love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that wasn't too spoilery for you, Leona. But you and I will be enjoying this game over the next week, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun talking about it in the next episode.
But Lunar 1 was definitely fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed talking about it too, because it was a pleasure having you and Rob revisit this game with me.
Thank you.
I have a lot of fond memories of Lunar 1. I played it I think 13 or 14 years ago, but it's been enough distance that it did not feel tired at all, and I had a lot of fun replaying it. And I'm looking forward to Lunar 2 just as much, if not more, even though it might cut into my Octopath Traveler time, which is unfortunate. And another reason why I don't think I'm going to be on the August episodes, because I'll probably be wanting to play all the games I missed over the summer.
Same here.
Yeah, we haven't planned out all of August yet, but the August game has been chosen. It is going to be Shadow Hearts. Shadow Hearts 1, not
so
Covenant. We played That's right. We played Shadow Hearts Covenant for the podcast a bit over a year ago. I think in I want to say February or March of 2017. One of those. I'd have to check the episode list. But we did play it over a year ago. It was my first time playing it, and I enjoyed it a lot. And when we had the staff discussion on what game to play this year, what game to play after Lunar, Shadow Hearts 1 had a lot of support, and we ended up going with it. But I don't think I'll be on those episodes because I'm going to be playing a lot of Lunar 2, and I'm going to be trying to catch up to games that came out in the spring and summer. But that is going to have 2 episodes in August. That is Shadow Hearts Uno, the first one, not Covenant. If you want to listen to episodes about Shadow Hearts Covenant, check episodes from the first couple months of 2017. But listeners, if you want to reach out to us, the best way to do so is to email retro@rpgfan.com. There's also RPG Fans forums, RPGFan.com on Twitter. We have Facebook, Discord, and Instagram pages as well that you can find on the front page of RPGFan.com. And there's also another podcast, Random Encounter, which is more focused on current events and what we're playing and reviewing around that time. And it is bi-weekly and hosted by Derek Heemsbergen. I was on an E3 episode a couple weeks ago where we recapped our the goings-on at that games show, which was, it was fun to record, but I barely remember it because I was like 2/3 asleep during the recording. But listeners, if you want to provide feedback other than in a less direct way, you can also review us on iTunes or Google Play or whatever podcast listening venue you use. We appreciate all constructive criticism. Now, starting with you, Leona, if a listener would want to get in touch with you or reach out, how would they do so?
Well, you can find me on the Discord server. I'm the moderator there. I go by Star Mongoose. Or you can find me on Twitter, also Star Mongoose.
Excellent. And Rob, your turn.
You can find me on Twitter at MissAnthroBob, and that's the best place to find me these days.
Send all fan mail.
Yeah, please do.
No hate mail, please.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about my inbox.
I love your inbox.
Oh, well.
Oh my! I wasn't aware we were showing each other our inboxes.
Meet me after the recording. We'll talk more.
Okay. Well, I'll shut off the recording, and then this conversation will continue. But before I do that, listeners, the best way to find me is to find me on Twitter at @TheRealMonsoon. I have a second Twitter at EvokerForDogs, where I get a little weird and talk about Japanese superheroes a lot. And also, I am on Discord as well, but not as often as Leona is. My Discord is at MonsoonMike, and I pretty much only peruse the RPG Fan Discord. But, gentlemen and lady, I think we have successfully done 2 podcasts on Lunar the Silver Star.
It was a lot of fun.
We have.
Whether it's story complete or harmony, we definitely played and recorded some, didn't we?
I mean, I definitely feel grateful for the version that I played.
Yeah, I didn't realize how lucky I was. It had even crossed me, oh, maybe I could try the PSP version for the podcast, but then decided against it. But before hearing about it from Rob, so I was lucky in that regard.
I don't know what they did. I blame Gung Ho.
Yeah, freaking Gung Ho, man. Give the Lunar license to someone who's good.
Well, I mean, Game Arts are owned by them now, so. But still, I blame them.
All right. Well, screw you, Gung Ho. But listeners, thank you.
Oh, no.
Good night, and good luck.